Hello, everyone. Karen with Prophecy Watchers here for another update on the Imminent Return Prophecy Summit happening in Norman, Oklahoma, October 5th through the 8th, 2023. Literally just days away. Time is flying by so quickly, and we're so excited for this conference. We're wanting to give everyone a teaser on the amazing list of speakers that will be coming to the event. And Bob keeps adding to the list. So we think that we're done, and then we just keep adding to the list of amazing presentations that we're going to be having. And we especially wanted to do some interviews with some of the speakers that you all know and love the most, and kind of give you just a little sneak peek onto what they're going to be talking about. And the speaker we're going to be interviewing today is Bill Salus. Bill, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, Karen, great. It's good to be with you. And I'm really excited about this conference. You know, I've had the opportunity to be at every Prophecy Watchers conference throughout Florida, Colorado Springs, and the Norman ones I really enjoy those because it's a nice facility. It's wide open. You can fellowship with the speakers, rub elbows, get the opportunity to speak to the people that are attending there. But the main thing I like about this Norman thing is that the live stream you do and the on-demand that you do is important because you got so many good messages coming. Some are competing times and things like that. In the last conference we were at together in Florida, I mean, those speakers and those messages, many of the same guys coming to Norman, were so powerful. I got an opportunity to see some of them, but I want to see them all. And that's the good thing about the on-demand and the live stream that you guys do.
Absolutely. When you can't clone yourself, this is the next best option for you, so you can go back and take your time and actually rewatch those presentations or watch the ones that you weren't able to attend because you had to pick and choose, which is a hard problem to have, but it's a good problem at the same time.
It is, and you know, we're deep into the end times, Karen, and all the end time signs are converging. And so the messages we're getting right now from Billy Crone and J.B. Hickson, et cetera, the like, L.A. Marzulli, these are intense. I mean, this is applications applying right now with respect to what we're seeing on the world scene. I mean, I've been to many prophecy conferences. I've spoken to many. But I'm telling you, the last couple I've been at with Prophecy Watchers, in the light of the days in which we live, the messages are super powerful.
Absolutely. So tell me about your presentations. I know your messages are some of the crowd favorites, and I know that you're doing a part 1 and a part 2, the future pre-tribulation war prophecies. Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to actually be teaching. I'm going to do a Gary Stearman here. I'm going to show the products up here in advance here, but I've got a new book and new DVD out called The Future War Prophecies. I will be speaking in 2 parts in 2 sessions from that book, teaching from that book. The first part will be the future pre-tribulation wars, the wars that the church might actually experience before the tribulation period. It doesn't mean we will. The rapture could happen beforehand, but I show in the book, and I will show in the presentation, that these are wars that are going to happen before the tribulation, and I give the reasons why. And I'll go through some of those in just a moment. But the second session, I'm going to be speaking about the future tribulation wars. There's certain wars that are going to happen in the tribulation period as well. Of course, the church won't be here for those because we're not appointed to the tribulation period. But the first session, I'll be getting into the first war of Iran with Elam, Jeremiah chapter 49, verses 34 through 39. I believe that's a nuclear showdown in Iran. I think we're watching the stage set right now for an attack. Israel's probably going to attack Iran. I think that's going to lead to a proxy war with Lebanon, with Hezbollah. Syria, I'm actually going to be talking about a proxy war that shakes Israel. I'll be talking about the destruction of Damascus. I think Israel has to take out a major city in light of this war that's going to happen. We find that in Isaiah chapter 17 and Jeremiah chapter 49. I get into great detail. I'll have slides and videos and things that I'll be showing. And I think what's going to happen is when Israel takes out a major city, and we'll show why Israel is responsible for the destruction of Damascus, I think the Arab states are going to go in an uproar. And that will lead me into the Psalm 83 prophecy, that final Arab-Israeli conflict prophecy that I'm pretty much known for with books I've written about and things like that on that prophecy.
For sure.
And then I think after that happens, we're going to have the major war, the Ezekiel 38 Gog and Magog war, and I'll be spending quite a bit of time on that and actually getting into, I think we might find America in that prophecy as the young lions of Tarshish. And so I'll present the biblical, archaeological, and geopolitical and historical reasons why I think we could actually be in that prophecy.
That's definitely a hot button topic right now, is that whole conversation of, is America in Bible prophecy? Is it, and to what extent and how? And there's lots of different ways that people have ideas on how it's portrayed in Scripture or not portrayed in Scripture. So that's definitely a topic that's up for discussion right now. You mentioned that there are some wars that the church may be seeing before the tribulation occurs. What are some of those wars that the Christians should be on the lookout for?
Well, all of the above that I just mentioned could happen before the tribulation, because what we find in some of those wars is the Israeli Defense Forces fighting off their Arab foes. And the Israeli Defense Forces, I'm going to point out in my talks, they do exist in fulfillment of biblical prophecy and in several biblical prophecies, but the only time they're going to be waging war is going to be before the tribulation. And I'll point out that in the tribulation period, we compartmentalize it into two portions. There's a first half of 3.5 years, a second half of 3.5 years. You have the first half tribulation, second half tribulation. And in both of those compartments of time, the Israeli Defense Forces are not able to fight a war. In the first half, they're actually living in a peace that they've achieved through this false covenant of Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. So they're not going to be waging war. In the second half, even Jesus says in Matthew 24, verses 15, that they should flee when the Antichrist goes into the Jewish temple, which will exist at that time. And he does the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet. And Jesus tells them to flee at that point. So in the second half of the tribulation, the Jewish people are fleeing, including the Israeli Defense Forces. So they're not going to be fighting in the first or second half of the tribulation. They're not going to be fighting in the millennium, because the swords will be turned into plowshares and the spears into pruning hooks, etc. They won't be learning war anymore in the millennium. So we have to move it forward by the process of deduction. And the Israeli Defense Forces will be in fulfillment of prophecy, fighting wars before the tribulation. Now, the Ezekiel 38 war may be before the tribulation. I'll present several reasons why I think it will be at the conference. But we're not sure if that's before the tribulation, but I do believe it is, as does Mondo and several other people.
Right. So you have everything lined out. I'm assuming you have different timelines, possibilities of if this happens first, then this will happen, and all of that, because I know you go into great detail and you really like to give everybody the information at their fingertips, so that if they want to go and delve deeper into this topic themselves, if they want to become educated on the different wars and what might happen in between, or all these different scenarios, you're so wonderful about taking the time to go into great detail and really let them be students of the Word and students of Bible prophecy. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this conference, is all these great minds come together and really just feast on the book of Revelation itself. And the Lord, I think, just really admires that heart that we have for His soon return. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I do try to sequence them as best we can, the wars, especially all the wars, but especially these pre-tribulational wars I'm talking about. And also I want to talk to the audiences on the live stream, that they'll get the benefit of knowing how I feel these wars will actually affect them and the world, because these end times prophecies are globally impacting. The thing that's really going to be cool about this conference is that I'll be talking about wars and Middle East centered things in the pre-tribulation prophecies. I'll be talking about worldwide wars in the tribulation prophecies. But you also have all these other things developing: the global world order, the digital currencies, the 15-minute cities, all the things that the other guys are bringing to the table. Right. The UFO deception. I imagine Marzulli is going to be talking about some of his latest videos on the cattle mutilations, maybe the crop circles. I'm not familiar with exactly what he'll be talking about. But the point is, you can have every different kind of angle, every different kind of prophecy that's stating right now that are all converging, coming at you. And it's really going to be overwhelming. I know in Orlando, Florida, this past conference, I was overwhelmed. My friend and I, Lynn Wheeler, he was there with me working my table. He bought the set. He got the online demand because he said, this is incredible. And he'd been to many conferences with me before. It was just so powerful, Karen.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to go back and rewatch or just re-listen to just a specific portion of a message. And the on-demand actually is a benefit, that it lets you pause when you have those screens up, when you have those slides up on the screen, they can actually pause and take their time to reread through those a couple times. That's something that sometimes when you're in the audience, you just go through the slides and you're not able to pause or take as much time as you need to read that information. So
that's a good point, because lots of times there's note takers in there.
yes.
But all of us guys are very PowerPoint driven, and those slides are coming at you like a fire hose.
Especially when you're under a time constraint, you sometimes have to move a little faster than you want to, but that's just part of being up there and giving all that good information. We got to go faster sometimes.
Yeah, so that's the advantage of the on-demand, the live stream. You have the ability to watch it at your own pace, at your own time.
Absolutely.
And I highly recommend it, because it really is, this is information that people need to know right now. It's going to equip them for the days in which they live and grow them in their faith and give them a greater ability to evangelize to their loved ones. We don't have much time. It's a sense of urgency right now. We see what's going on in the world. The country's collapsing. The world's falling apart. The wars are going to happen in the Middle East. There's no weapon that's not been fashioned, no national relationship that's not been formed, no technology that's not been developed that would slow down what we're talking about, Karen.
Right.
It's all coming at us, and it's all going to happen. It was predicted to happen, and the stage is set for it to start beginning even soon, soon, soon.
Yes, when the world starts to fall apart, we know that we can look up, for our redemption draweth nigh. Thank you so much for being with us, Bill Salus. We're looking forward to having you in Norman, Oklahoma with us at the conference, and I know everyone attending the conference is looking forward to seeing you there as well. For anyone who's not able to join us in person, we want to remind you that On Demand is available still. You can go to watchersweekend.com and sign up for that on-demand streaming, and you will have access to all of the presentations from the entire weekend for 6 months. You can go back and watch and rewatch as many times as you need to. Again, watchersweekend.com, and we look forward to seeing you there.